Welcome in, folks, to our first ever JE Live, entirely NFL centric. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be going through every single game that you will see, whether it's Thursday, whether it's Monday night, whether it's Sunday night, or during the day on Sunday. We're going to be covering all of week one, and if this does well enough, if you guys like this, I'll continue to do it. Before we get into that, be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you like this, and on top of that, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy this. So, a little bit different. Presentation is way different and everything. We're starting off with everyone's favorite on this channel. Obviously, this is mainly a Rams and Jets channel, so I'm branching out here, covering all the games, and I know there's a lot of Rams fans here, so I have the Rams and Bills. We're starting off with Thursday night football and how I could see this thing going. So let's get into it, right? So this game, I could see it going one of two ways. The Rams come out and they're a little they're not all there. Like they're just something's up. Bills, they played in preseason. Maybe something like that really matters. I could see the other thing of, the Rams just come out firing on all cylinders, take advantage of the fact that Trey White is out. I know he was out last year, but that's a loss regardless if he was out last year and he's out right now. But you do have a rookie cornerback playing as well, so I think that's also a target, something that I think the Rams can take advantage of and definitely go after. You have game-breaking talent. You have Josh Allen. You have Matthew Stafford. This is exactly what I wanted to kick off the season, so I very much like where we're going with this. I'm going to go with the Rams here, 34-24. If you saw my preview, then you already knew where I was going. Some key players to look out for, obviously Stafford, Kupp, Robinson, Donald, Wagner, and of course Jalen Ramsey on the Rams. On the Bills side of things, you got Josh Allen, you got Stephon Diggs. Dawson Knox, number 88, just got paid, so you definitely have to look out for him, in that red zone. Then you have, Von Miller with 3 L's. My bad on that part. You got Gregory Rousseau, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. Just give him some time, although maybe he'll just blow up on Thursday Night Football. Who knows how it's going to go there. And then Jordan Poyer. I really like their safety group there. I've said it over and over again. I really like their safety group as well as Hyde. I like Jaquan Jones, and I like DeMar Hamlin. Really like the Bills. I think this could be a Super Bowl preview. But I'm going to go with the Rams here, 34-24 here. I have a feeling that, it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be, a lot of fun and a lot of scoring, but at the end of the day, I think the Rams kind of pull away at the end and win by 10. So that's how I have the first game going. Really good defenses, really good offenses. This is going to be exactly what you want to showcase the season, essentially. So with that said, we move on to the Saints and Falcons here. The Saints, of course, they are coming back. They don't have their coach anymore. They have a new coach in Dennis Allen. Sean Payton's gone. I really like Dennis Allen. I thought that was a good move to go with him. I really like the defense. I think they kept him in games where, really I didn't think that they had a chance of winning. And they went through a little bit of a struggle here because, Jameis Winston, who I think will win Comeback Player of the Year this year, he got hurt, and it was really unfortunate. You saw what he could do and the potential that he had 5 touchdowns in a game. They blew out the Green Bay Packers on a neutral field. People forget about that, but you got Jameis Winston, you got Alvin Kamara, Thomas, Landry, not mentioned there, but the rookie Olave, I think, is somebody to look out for. Lattimore, you got Matthew. There's so many guys. You're going to find teams like the Rams, the Bills, the Saints, teams like that are going to have, a limited thing of key players there, but obviously, they have a ton of key players. They have a ton of talent there. No doubt about that. Not even challenging that, but you can only type out so much. So, weirdly enough, Atlanta actually leads this series. I was a little surprised to find that out, 54-52. New Orleans has won 4 of the last 5 times, not a shock. But also, the little storyline here is Jameis Winston, the first-round pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, is going up against Marcus Mariota. I find that incredibly interesting, incredibly intriguing. And, Marcus Mariota was the second overall pick. If you guys remember how that went, There was a little thing called Jameis Winston threw a lot of interceptions, and Mariota actually outplayed him. Now we fast forward, and they're still starters to this day. Shout out to Marcus Mariota, his ability to get back to the starting status here. First round wide receiver Drake London, who I'm a big fan of his game. He's questionable. I think he'll play. And looking at, that side, I put, obviously the asterisk there because I don't know if he'll play or not. I do think he will. Patterson, we saw what he did last year. Cordell Patterson is unbelievable, talent when he gets the ball. You give him the ball and you let him work. And then in addition to that, I really like they added Lorenzo Carter in the offseason. He'll be a contributor in this game. Kyle Pitts, you got to look out for him, obviously, 1,000-yard receivers rookie year, as a tight end. Incredible stuff there. And then A.J. Terrell. I just think A.J. Terrell is one of the best corners in all football. They're going to need him. He can't cover everybody, and that's why I'm going to go with the Saints. 38-21 is how I have it. Look, I think, the Falcons have some weapons for sure. I'm actually really excited to see what they have in Algier. I think Tyler Algier out of BYU is somebody that they'll get going, as the season progresses. I think he's somebody, like, if you're in your fantasy leagues, keep him in mind. He's on the waiver wire, whatever. So I really do like Algier. I like the Falcons here, for their offense and everything. I just struggle with their defense. I think they'll score, but I think the Saints are just going to take over. And this is Jameis's time, man. He's back. He's got the weapons. They got the defense. I like the Saints here, so I'm picking them in a 38-21 game. Very exciting game, actually. I think it's a good rivalry game. Moving on, we have the 49ers taking on the Chicago Bears. And the cool thing about this, obviously you can see, I put it all in the notes, but San Francisco leads this series 35-32 and 1. San Francisco's won 3 of the last 5 times. It's Trey Lance versus Justin Fields. So, I look at this, and I love the first round quarterbacks going at it from 2021. I like that finally Trey Lance is starting. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of his if you follow the channel. Justin Fields I'm also a big fan of. I do have question marks about this Bears team, and I've made that very clear that I don't feel good about this Bears team. They got Lance, Mitchell, Samuel, Kittle, Bosa, and Warner in the key players on that side. And then the Bears have Fields, Montgomery, Mooney, Quinn, Roquan Smith, and Jaquan Brisker. You could have gone with anybody in that secondary, but I went with Brisker. Really like him out of Penn State. I think he's one of the best safeties from this draft. Looks like he's going to be good to go. He looks like he's ready. The Velus Jones, the wide receiver for Chicago, is questionable, as well as George Kittle. Not liking what I'm seeing out of Kittle. If you're a fantasy owner of George Kittle, like I am, it's not ideal. I'll just be honest with you. Kittle's injuries do concern me, but they don't concern me enough because I am going to be taking the San Francisco 49ers in a blowout, 30-13. I know what Justin Fields showed in preseason. I know he played against some of the starters of the 49ers. I've heard it all. Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers here. I think this is going to be a very easy game plan for Kyle Shanahan. He's going to put Trey Lance in position to succeed. They're going to run the ball, whether it's with Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, or Tyrion Davis-Price. I don't really care. I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to get him comfortable. They're going to activate play action, and they're going to, work with what they have with Debo and Brandon Ayuk. And, I'm a big fan of what they got in the 3rd round last year. A lot of people forget. Or this past year, they got Danny Gray. He showed you that speed over the top at SMU, and he showed you it in preseason, so I think that's somebody to look out for. I have the Niners going to 1-0 on the season, winning 30-13. So moving on, we have another rivalry game that I can't wait to watch. It is the Bengals and the Steelers. The Bengals were just runners-up in the Super Bowl, losing Super Bowl 56 to the LA Rams. And they have a very good roster. They spent a lot of money, over $200 million, to fix that defense. They got a lot of young core group of pieces on that offense. You talk about Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. You got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. I like the addition of Hayden Hurst. I actually think that's incredibly underrated, and people aren't talking about that enough. So I like what they're doing. They tried to fix their offensive line. They go out and they get Lyle Collins. So I do like what the Bengals are doing. Now, when you look at the Steelers, I think the Steelers are a lot better than people realize because last year I do think Ben Roethlisberger, I don't like to say washed, but you could see it. He was kind of at the end of his career, and they have so much there on the defensive end. Going out and getting Miles Jack, I thought was huge. You add athleticism. This guy was a former running back at UCLA, in addition to linebacker. At one point was trying to play safety as well. Very athletic guy. You're putting him next to, Devin Bush, and I just really like this defense all in all. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game. Bummer here, Calvin Austin is out. But Deontay Johnson is questionable. I believe he'll play. Pittsburgh leads this series 67-38 all time. No surprise. They've really dominated this series, if I'm being honest. But Cincinnati has won 3 of the last 5. So where am I going here? I'm going to take Cincinnati. Oh. I'm going to take Cincinnati at home here. And I'm going to go with a close game, 28-25. I think it's a good game. I think it's one of the better games that we'll watch this weekend. I just think when it comes down to it, you look at that Cincinnati team, they're riding high off of last year's season. I think the Steelers' defense is going to keep them in check, but at the end of the day, I think I'll give Cincinnati the edge because they're at home. If I'm picking, later on in the year, that primetime game in Pittsburgh, I'm going to take Pittsburgh, but I think we're a little bit higher on Cincinnati than we should be. I do think there is cause for concern, but I do like ultimately their roster, and I think guys like Jesse Bates help them out, and of course Trey Hendrickson to rush the passer. It'll be interesting how well Trubisky plays. He's constantly going to be on the hot seat, I think, at least by the fans, because look, you draft a quarterback, you kind of put him in harm's way now. Everybody's going to want to see Kenny Pickett. So that's how I have it, 28-25. I think it'll be a fun game, and that's how I have it going. So we move on here, and let's hide the score there. We move on here to one of the best games of the week. I don't think people are talking about this game enough, quite honestly. I am very excited for this game. It is the Detroit Lions taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. I look at this game, and I think this is going to really show you a lot. I understand it's only week 1, but the Lions were just on Hard Knocks. A lot of people are starting to talk about them. This game is sold out. They're literally going to have to, open up the standing room only and add more seats because there's no seats. It's absolutely sold out, which is a great sign for this game. I love the addition in the offseason that the Eagles had to get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I really like his ability there. I love Hassan Reddick, who they went out and got. Then they have, of course, Fletcher Cox, and not listed is Javon Hargrave, guys in the interior like that. Dallas Goedert, they added A.J. Brown. And I think Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you, isn't being respected enough. I've seen him listed in below the top 20 of quarterbacks. I think that's absolutely disrespectful. But on the other hand, I think Jared Goff is being a little disrespected. He's listed below guys like Trevor Lawrence that have never accomplished anything. So I think Jared Goff now with weapons, you look at, DeAndre Swift and, St. Brown and DJ Chark, who's not listed here. I really like the idea of going out and getting, Jameson Williams. I think he was the best receiver in this class, and I do think over time he's really going to show that. Hawkinson should have a big year. He just has to stay healthy. And Hutchinson, I think, is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm a big fan of Tracy Walker III's game. Love what he can do in the back end of the secondary. Frank Ragnow is a big one here. He's questionable. If he doesn't play, that's going to be a problem. I think he plays. Philadelphia leads this series 17-16-2 all time. Detroit's won 3 of the last 5 times. And funny enough, I'm actually going to take Detroit in a 1-point game at Ford Field. I really like where we're going with this. It's going to be one of the best games of the entire week. I cannot wait to watch this game. I think Philly offers a lot, and I think Jared Goff has enough weapons here where you have to feel comfortable about him. So I'm going to take the Lions here. 31-30 sets themselves up for a potential easier time next week to go 2-0, which would be a really nice start to the season for the Lions, who struggled to find any wins last year and lost so many close one-possession games. I think they win this game, and I think the Eagles are going to end up winning that division. I think they're going to be one of the better teams this year in the NFC. So this is not a knock on Philly, but I really do like the Lions this year. I love this game. If this was in Philly, I'd probably take Philly. But I really like, them being at Ford Field. I'll take the Lions here against the Eagles. So we move on to the next game, which isn't as exciting in my opinion. It is the New England Patriots taking on the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people are saying we're way too low on the Dolphins. The Dolphins need to be pumped up. Tua. And I understand you get Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Mike Gesicki, although for whatever reason he's in trade talks. I don't get it. But, they have all those weapons, right? But I can't buy into Tua, okay? I just can't. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't. But I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's proven anything except for in college, and I don't think he's been the same since suffering the injury. I watched a ton of him being a fan of Alabama, so I did watch a lot of him in college, but I just feel like they should have picked Justin Herbert. I think that's pretty obvious. You look at the defense, I like where the defense is going, so that's, interesting there. The Patriots here, I was really disappointed in their offseason. I think it really just, they spent too much money the year prior, and then they kind of paid for it. Really curious pick going out and getting Bailey Zappi in the draft. They've never been, sensible, I think is the word. Sensible drafters. It's always been kind of weird. But there are two guys, or at least one guy that I really like that they drafted, and that is Joshua Uche. They also drafted not this year, but they drafted in the past, Kyle Duggar. I think those guys are going to be contributors on the defensive side. McCourty is still going strong as the captain there. You have Hunter Henry coming off a great year, although I expect Jonnu Smith, who had a bad year last year, to not have as bad of a year this year, kind of show up and maybe ends up being a pretty good, formidable foe to Henry's targets. But anyway, Devontae Parker they went out and got. Mac Jones is not getting enough respect, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best deep ball throwers already in the game. There's a reason why New England was top 3 in explosive plays, at least explosive passing plays. Really like Ramondre Stevenson. They went out and they got Pierre Strong, who, as you guys know if you follow the channel, I'm a big fan of. But Damian Harris is going to be the guy. He's going to be the running back. He's going to get the bulk of the work. I think they'll keep Mac Jones moving. So I'm taking New England in this game. I just think New England's the better team. I'm not as high on the Dolphins this year. And I don't know if either of these teams are going to go to the playoffs. It's kind of weird that Miami does lead, this all-time series. But and they've won 4 of the last. But I'm definitely going to take New England. If Isaiah Wynn doesn't play, because he is questionable, could change things. But I'm going to take New England in a close 6-point game here. New England Patriots hang on for the win. So we move on here to a game that is very close to my heart because I just started covering the Jets. It is the Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Jets. On one hand, Lamar Jackson's back. Dobbins is back. All right, let's just say it. Everybody's back. Humphrey's back. Peters is back. There's so many guys that are now back for the Ravens who honestly were one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl last year and just suffered an unfair amount of injuries. Let's just call it like it is. It was kind of unfair, how many injuries they dealt with. So, looking at this game, I think Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews, are going to go nuclear this season with Lamar Jackson. I think they're out for blood. I've been on record saying that. I think Odafe Oweh is going to have a good year. Now, on the flip side of this, okay, Zach Wilson's ruled out. J.K. Dobbins is questionable. I think Dobbins will play. Baltimore is up 9-2 in the all-time series against the Jets, and they've won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Jets. Joe Flacco's at quarterback, and before anybody says this game is going to be a blowout, it's over, they have no chance. Go back and watch Joe Flacco last year against Miami. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's had 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions while with the Jets. I think he's going to do enough where they keep you in the game, but he can't do enough to necessarily win you the game. So I do think that the Ravens are going to come away with the win. I do like what the Jets are doing. I've been on record saying that. Unfortunately, with Zach Wilson out, I just can't see them winning this game. Breece Hall, I think, is going to have a game. I think they'll use Michael Carter, Elijah Moore. I think they have plenty of weapons for Flacco. But you ever hear of the term Fisher Ball? For you Rams viewers out there, you know where I'm going with this. Say what you will about Fisher Ball, but when you're clearly outmatched, which the Jets are at quarterback, you got a good defense, and you got a good running game, you can play a little thing called Fisher Ball, where you run the ball and you play good defense, and you try to stick around for as long as you can, hope a team makes a mistake, and capitalize on it. Well, unfortunately, I just don't think the Jets can really do that because I don't think Baltimore's going to make too many mistakes. They'll stick around enough for this to be a 24-17 game. So I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to take down the New York Jets at MetLife. If this was, if Zach Wilson was in this game, I think it'd be a different story. Healthy Zach Wilson. But I totally agree with them sitting him out. I didn't agree with them playing him in preseason, but we're past that, so I will move on from that. Moving on to the next game here. We have the Washington Commanders taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of stuff has happened since. We have a firing. Obviously, Urban Meyer's gone. Washington leads this series 6-1 all time. Washington has won 4 of the last 5. You got Carson Wentz now in Washington. They added Brian Robinson, who I was very excited to see. He is out, unfortunately, because some jackass decided to shoot him. Thank God he's alive, and he's not done, but he obviously won't be able to play. Then they go out, they get Jahan Dotson this year. They really like him. He's a starter. He's listed as a starter with Terry McLaurin. Really like Montez Sweat. I like the defense there. So I am going to take Washington over Jacksonville. I like what Jacksonville did, going out and getting Lloyd, because I really like Devin Lloyd. I think he was the best linebacker in the draft. I like going out and getting Darius Williams. They did some things that I do like. Of course, Walker's another guy there, the number 1 overall pick. But I do have reservations about Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to take the better team here. I think the more talented team is Washington. I have a 31-16 ball game at the end of the day. I just think Washington can do more. Antonio Gibson will be able to run against this defense, and even if he can't, I think Carson Wentz is going to be an okay quarterback this year. I know a lot of people are out on him. He's got a lot of weapons, and I know we say that a lot, but I don't know. There's something about Washington. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs necessarily, but I don't think they'll be that bad. And so I have them going for a 31-16 win. And I don't see, I know I listed Christian Kirk as a key player. He needs to have a banged up season because he got paid a lot of money. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But that's how I have this game going with Washington taking the win. Moving on, we have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Cleveland Browns. Jacoby Brissett is in at quarterback for the Browns since Deshaun Watson is suspended until, I believe, week 12, week 13, somewhere around that. And then you have, on the other side, Baker Mayfield, revenge game. I do put stock into revenge games, believe it or not. I think anybody should because, human beings are playing here. So it's not like, you throw all the human element out the window. Baker has every reason to be pissed off with the Browns, and I think he's going to come out firing. Christian McCaffrey's healthy again. They have DJ Moore. They went out and they did get, Laviska Shenault. I don't know how big his role will be. It was towards the end of training camp preseason, so I don't know if they can really implement him this early on. They have Robbie Anderson, and then Terrace Marshall, another guy I really like. Shaq Thompson at linebacker is definitely a name to look out for, as well as Jeremy Chin, the safety. Brian Burns can get after the quarterback. I don't think Brissett is terrible, but I don't know if he's a starter at this point in his career. And I don't think he's been the same since he suffered the MCL injury against the Steelers in Pittsburgh when the Colts were, 7-0, 8-0. They started off that crazy season, and he wasn't the same after that. I don't think he is. Carolina leads this series 4 4-2 all time. They've won 3 of the last 5 games, so I'll take Carolina here. I think the Browns have some talent, but I just think this is not going to be a good year for them. They put all their eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket, and it did not work out for them. It might down the road, but he's going to be suspended for quite a bit. So give me Carolina here in the biggest blowout of the week. I'm going 41-14. I think this is one of those games where everyone is going to start talking about how Carolina is this team that you just can't sleep on. They blow up against the Browns. I think we're going to overrate them a little bit. No offense, Carolina fans, but you win 41-14 against the Browns. I could totally see the media circus going. I think this is more about Baker Mayfield just getting revenge. It is the perfect – honestly, it's the perfect story. I think they're just going to blow him out. You get those weird games every week 1. This is that weird game. I don't think Carolina's going to have a great season, but I do think just things are just going to click in this game, and Baker is just going to go on an absolute revenge tour against the Browns here. So I have 41-14 in an absolute blowout here. A shellacking, if you will. We move on to the next game, the Colts and the Texans. Indianapolis Colts, I like a lot what they did. They go out and they get Matt Ryan. They have Jonathan Taylor. You got Pittman. You got Paris Campbell, who's going to be back. And I'm a big fan of Alec Pierce. I couldn't resist putting him in key players section, as well as Shaquille Leonard, formerly known as Darius Leonard. So don't be surprised if you butcher that on occasion. I still can't believe I did that on the fly. And then DeForest Buckner is obviously a force to be reckoned with. I think the Texans are going to score a little bit in this game. They're not the better team, not even close, and I don't think they're going to win many games. But what I will say is that Lovie Smith is going to have this team playing hard. That's what he does. He did it at Illinois. He's going to do it again. I really like Davis Mills. Not because he looks the part, but I just think he is the part. He's not going to get an opportunity to be the franchise quarterback because the Texans are going to be picking, in Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud territory. But I do think that they have something in Davis Mills. And I do think he can score a couple touchdowns in this game, maybe even 3. They got Dameon Pierce, who they really like out of Florida, the running back there. You got Brandon Cooks, obviously. And, I'm not going to lie. Nico Collins is being a little slept on. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good year. You have, Stingley, of course. Talk about him, the 3rd overall pick. And then Jalen Petre. I mean, they got some good guys here. This is a team that's going to compete every single game. They just don't have superstar talent. I think honestly, the best player they have is probably Brandon Cooks. Guy is the most underrated receiver maybe in football. People do not talk about him enough for a guy that constantly just puts together 1,000-yard seasons. So I'm going to pick the Colts here in a 38-20 game. I think it'll be exciting. It's a rivalry, all of that. I think the Colts, they're the better team. They'll win this game. Really excited for Matt Ryan to get the potential, the chance at least, to potentially end up being that Stafford type of guy, this year. Because Stafford played for the Lions, that he gets an opportunity. Not to say that Matt Ryan playing in a Super Bowl wasn't an opportunity, but since then it's been all downhill. So I'm glad that he finally, is in a better spot than where Atlanta had him last year. All right, so we got a bunch of games left. Actually, not that many, but upcoming here, we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the New York Giants. I wanted to be high on the Giants, but I simply am just not. I really do like Brian Dable, and I think he's going to get it together. There's just something off about the Giants. And I don't love the Titans either, but the Titans did win games without Derrick Henry, so they do deserve that credit, at the very least. So I look at this, and, you got quarterback Ryan Tannehill. He showed you really can't get it done the big game last year, in the playoffs. I mean, he just showed you that. Actually, it was this year. Daniel Jones hasn't really proven anything. Hopefully Saquon Barkley's back healthy. He could do something. Then you look, Derrick Henry's back. You got Robert Woods in Tennessee, who I think is definitely who they needed. I think he's going to help you in the short and intermediate game with Ryan Tannehill. They got Treylon Burks, another guy, really good yards after the catch guy. Then you have, of course, Jeffrey Simmons and his emergence last year, and Kevin Byard. They did lose Harold Landry for the entire season. which is awful. My heart goes out to him to suffer a season-ending injury right before the season. That's absolutely brutal. The Giants did come out and basically name Wan'Dale Robinson, the second-round pick, a starter, which that's great. Sterling Shepard's coming back from the early season injury last year. I believe it was an ankle. He's going to be back. He could have a good season. They have Kenny Golladay still, who I'm not very sold on. And they have Kadarius Toney, who I think as long as he stays healthy, he's shown you he can be a threat in this league. Follow that up with Leonard Williams and, Xavier McKinney. They have some other guys as well, and Zimenez. And yeah, I don't think the Giants have a bad roster. It's actually kind of funny. This is the tiebreaker here. It's tied 6-6 in the all-time series. Tennessee's won 4 of the last 5, and I believe they're going to win another. Tennessee wins a 10-point game, 26-16. I think they're the better team. I think they'll run it with Derrick Henry. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes for 150+. And I think Robert Woods is just going to be so huge for this team, both on and off the field. But I think just as a blocker, I think as a receiver, just a leader in that locker room. I think he's going to be so huge for them. So I got 26-16. Tennessee wins this game. So let's move on here. We're getting into the 4 o'clock games now, and we have the Packers and Vikings. Great rivalry here. Love this this type of matchup here. Green Bay leads the series all time, 64-56-3. Green Bay has won 3 of the last 5. I really do like the Vikings this year. I like Green Bay this year. I don't like Green Bay as much as I've liked them in the past. Very interesting here. You got Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Jones is going to be literally the number 1 receiver there. You got Allen Lazard. You got A.J. Dillon, Rashawn Gary, and you have Jair Alexander as the key players there. Cousins, Cook, Jefferson, Thielen, of course, Danielle Hunter, and Harrison Smith. So, who's going to win this game? Well, I have been really raving about the Vikings, and I think both of these teams have a chance to win this division. It's not just the Packers division. I think Rodgers is great. I think he's obviously going to keep them winning and competitive, and they have players that I like, but I don't love the roster, and I do love the offense of the Vikings. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to breathe life in this team on another level, so I am going to go with the Minnesota Vikings taking down Green Bay in Week 1, 32-24. I just love the season ahead. I think Cousins is going to have. I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation. Really like Dalvin Cook. Really, really like Justin Jefferson. I think he wins Offensive Player of the Year. Adam Thielen at wide receiver. Then you got Danielle Hunter. You got Harrison Smith. So really like where you have, those. And so I'm going to go with them. To break this, they're not really breaking anything. They've won 2 of the last 5, but let's make it 3 here. I'm going to go with the Vikings to win this game. So now we move on to the next game here. It is the Chiefs and Cardinals, and you guys kind of know where I'm going with this if you follow the channel. Really like what the Chiefs did. Yes, they lost Tyreek Hill, I get it, and I do think that speed gone is going to matter. But I really like Juju Smith-Schuster. I think this is his chance for redemption. People forgot how good he was. Edwards-Helaire, I'm not as high on. I think Isaiah Pacheco is the best running back in that room. I know that's very much a hot take, but I'm very high on him. Travis Kelce at tight end. He's going to be lethal this year. L'Jarius Sneed, big fan of him. Watch out for him. He could come down with an interception or something like that. Justin Reed, they basically replaced Tyrann Mathieu with him. And then on the flip side of this, Arizona doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins. Really, really like Rondale Moore as the number 1 guy. I know everyone is, losing their minds over Marquise Brown. Not as high on him. Kansas City leads this series all-time 9-3-1. They have won 1 of the last 5. I probably should have just put Cardinals have won 4 of the last 5. Brilliant job by me. I don't like the Cardinals roster that much. I really don't think they're going to be that great this year. And I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to win a 31-17 ball game. I think you're getting Kyler Murray at his best during the season, so I think they can put up some points, but not a ton. I think Kansas City is the better team, and I think they're going to win this game 31-17. Moving on, we got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. battle of that AFC West. We're going to see a lot of these. I've said it. They're going to kick the crap out of each other. So, really, the Raiders, they lead this all-time series 67, 56, and 2. They have won 3 of the last 5. They added Adams. They have Waller. They have Renfro. They have Jacobs. They have Carr. Really like the Raiders this year, but I also really like what the Chargers did, going out and getting Khalil Mack, who's not even listed because they have so many stars. Bosa, Mack, they just got J.C. Jackson. They have Derwin James. You talk about Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. We'll see where he is in his development this year. Justin Herbert is basically a robot throwing the football. And then you have Austin Eckler. I really like what the Chargers did, and they went out and they got SJD, Sebastian Joseph Day, to shore up that interior. He's going to take on some double teams, take on the trash, head on, gap plugger. Love it. So I'm going to take the Chargers here to take down the Raiders. 23-13, Chargers win in this one. We move on to the Buccaneers and Cowboys here. We're almost done with this, so if you've been waiting, we're wrapping it up. The Buccaneers and Cowboys, second to last game. We have Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Levante David, and obviously I could have put White as well as Barrett, and there are other guys I could have put there. On the Cowboys side, a little different. No Amari Cooper. You got Prescott. You got Elliott, Pollard. I think Pollard has pretty much locked down that slot job. You got CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and you got Trayvon Diggs. Dallas has won 3 of the last 5. They lead 15-5 in the series, and last year they lost in incredibly exciting fashion on the first game of the year. 31-29 was the Buccaneers' win. And they came all the way back. They came storming back. That was after Dak came back from that injury. I'm going to go with the Bucs here in another thriller. I don't think Dallas is as great as this game looks like they're going to be. I just think this matchup at Jerry World is just going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a great Sunday night showcase. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to take Tom Brady over Dak Prescott. I'm going to take the defense against just a putrid offensive line, in my opinion. Dak finally doesn't have a good offensive line with Tyron Smith out. Basically just saying, okay, Terrence Steele's enough at right tackle, letting, Lyle Collins leave. I'm just not a fan of this offensive line at all, and so I think it's not just Tom Brady, but I think the Buccaneers as a whole are going to get to the passer. I think, Barrett's going to get after Dak. Not a ton because I have them scoring points, but I still think Dallas can score points. They can make things happen, but I think Tampa Bay is going to get that big play when they need it. 33-30, and I have them on Sunday Night Football winning Tampa Bay. Last game, as we wrap this thing up, is the return. Russell Wilson moves to Seattle here as the Denver Bronco to take on the Seattle Seahawks and his backup quarterback last year, now starter Geno Smith. Some Seattle fans are very excited for Geno Smith. They like him more than Drew Lock. Well, he's starting over Drew Lock. Rashad Penny, I think they're going to get the ball going. I think they're going to run the ball. They got a lot of weapons, in the passing game, but I think they're just going to let Geno, basically manage the game. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that this game is a somewhat closer game than people are going to have. I'm not as high on the Broncos, to be honest with you. Russell Wilson is still very good, no doubt about it, but he has won a playoff game in, 5 years? So I do think we give him a lot of credit, and albeit he was on Seattle, they have plenty of weapons there. You talk about Gordon and Williams, and I think he and Sutton have developed a very good connection from what it sounds like. They do have Albert O as well at tight end, Patrick Surtain and Simmons in the back end of the secondary. I'll take the Broncos here in his return, 26-20. I think it'll be a close game because kind of like what I mentioned earlier, I think Fisher Ball is alive and well. I think Seattle is going to play that game. I think Waldron will have this team running the ball a lot. I think they will have the success that they had last year at the end of last year. They went out and they got guys like Charles Cross. They have Damian Lewis. I really do like what they've started to do, building that offensive line. And so I have 26-20. Broncos win this game. But that is going to do it, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed my first ever NFL show. I've never really done this before, so hopefully it turns out well. Hopefully you guys like it. If it's watched enough, I'll make it again next week. I think we're just going to go ahead and make it again next week. It was fun, but that's it for me. If you are a Rams fan, I have a Rams and Bills live stream tomorrow, live watch party at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to tune in for that if you're a Rams or Bills fan. But that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I approve this message. Later, folks.